Everybody, how we doing? Sunnyvale Reject back in the house with another little video for you. And I do apologize, it's been a while, but that's because I teach senior English at a high school here in West Palm Beach, and I've had seniors to help get ready for graduation, edit their speeches, for example. I've also been writing recommendation letters to the colleges they want to attend, but I've been very busy. Final grades, and I haven't had time to make a video, but I'm back, baby. And today's video is going to be about a writer we all know and love, or hate. There's probably nobody on the fence about her. It's V.C. Andrews. V.C. Andrews, yes. Cleo Virginia Andrews. She was born in 1923 in Portsmouth, Virginia, and she died in 1986. And when she died one of the most popular writers to ever walk the earth. I think at the time of her death, I'm wrong about this, maybe a few years afterwards, but she sold around 65 million copies of just one book alone, and that's Flowers in the Attic. And then, of course, after there's some debate about this, but after the fifth or sixth book, Andrew Neiderman, yes, it's Neiderman, took over as ghostwriter for the estate, and he ended up, not that the series has been written to completion yet, because there's a lot of families. You got the Dollanganger, which is like the first 5 books. You've got the Castile, you've got the Cutler family, and then the Falling Stars, or Shooting Stars series. So there's tons of series, tons of books, and people didn't really know that he was the ghostwriter for several years after he had been doing it, because he was a teacher of creative writing and he studied styles, and so he was able to approach her books like a research project, to read them and to study character and her language, her voice, and was really able to carry that tradition on, and the legacy lives on today. I mean, hell, she sold hundreds and hundreds of millions of books, was one of the most popular writers in the world at the time of her death, and I would say today, because it spun off a lot of movies, and a lot of series as well. So people love this, and you have to ask yourself why, because it deals with subjects like incest, which we know happens, damn it, okay? But it's hard to talk about, embarrassing, shameful thing. She made it glamorous and sexy somehow, I don't know. We all gonna have to take a look in the mirror over that one. But enough about this. I'll bring up stuff as I get to it, if I know it. If I don't, you're more than welcome to chime in the comments, because I'd love to hear anything you have to say. So with that being said, let me shut my mouth and just show you some books here. What do you say we start with the Dollanganger series and the book that started it all, 1979's Flowers in the Attic. The movie sucked. I hated the movie. It was real cheesy. Christy Swanson was in it. Remember her? She played Buffy. Flowers in the Attic, really, without going into a lengthy, explanation and without ruining it for anybody, it's about a family that's aristocracy, you'd kind of think. I mean, they're wealthy, they're well known, especially the mother. She's well liked, and evil grandmother, and you find out why, later on in the series. But they're waiting on the father to come home, to make a long story short, right? And he gets killed in a car accident, and there was a big party. I think they were getting ready to have a big party for him, but he dies in an accident, and there's an inheritance at stake, right? And remember, we talked about incest earlier. Well, there's a reason why these kids are being kept away from everybody. They're scared that the grandfather won't allow I think it's the grandfather, won't allow the mother to get the money if he finds out the true origin of the children, let's just say. And so the grandmother concocts a plan to keep these kids out of sight, out of mind, in the attic. And the disturbing things that happen in that attic, they're not all fleshed out in the movie, but they are in the book. It's disturbing and will break your heart. And then the rest of the series is about that family getting out and expanding. So we have Flowers in the Attic, and I'm sure you've heard enough about that. What was book 2? Oh, I'm glad you asked. Petals on the Wind. This is it's bigger, it's a more modern copy. Matte finish, still looks good, feels good in the hands. And it's got that nice big font that's easy to consume. I don't make my students read that biblical font, man, like old classical Charles Dickens. I was looking at 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. It had just the tiny words and the paragraphs that go on and on without a break. It's daunting to young readers, because they're like, I have to read all of that. But when you have books like this, they're chopped up a little bit, and there's stopping points in sight. So you read, stop, read, stop, read, stop. And so it's not so daunting, and they they're not afraid to read, so they'll read it knowing there's a stopping point in sight. But this is book 2 of the Dollanganger series, Petals on the Wind. Let's see. Of course, Mother had to pretend they didn't exist, and Grandmother was convinced they had the devil in them. But that wasn't their fault, was it? Kathy knew what to do. Although she and Christopher had escaped together, she knew it was time to show her mother and grandmother the pain and terror that being kept in the attic of Foxworth Hall had caused them. She would show them once and for all. Petals on the Wind. This is, I think If There Be Thorns comes first. If There Be Thorns. If There Be Thorns. Let's see. Yeah, If There Be Thorns is book 3. Dark horror continues to haunt the children who were so horribly imprisoned by their mother in this stunning sequel to the best-selling Flowers in the Attic and Petals of the Wind. As adults, Kathy and Chris Sheffield still suffer the ugly scars of their upbringing. Scars is a good way to say it. Living together as man and wife, hoping that the hate-filled evil of their past will never return to harm them. Kathy's 2 children, 14-year-old Jory and 9-year-old Bart, have never been told about their mother and stepfather's past, but it is only a matter of time before the secrets are out. If There Be Thorns. Look, Scars is right. If you know anything about V.C. Andrews, you know that as a teenager she had a horrific accident that left her with crippling arthritis, and she lived most of her life in a wheelchair. And I think to a certain extent there was a little shame there on the part of her family too, and she was isolated and kept out of public view. In fact, it's said that her mother didn't even want her books to be published, and I think she was 41 or 42 when Flowers in the Attic was published, but I think maybe they were a little bit embarrassed about it, kind of like her characters are in the book, being isolated, alienated, kept from, public view and scrutiny to a certain extent. And, yeah, that's interesting that you see art imitating life in this instance, and I think that's why her books were so powerful, is because she was writing from a place of authority, of knowing. Okay. My Sweet Audrina. My Sweet Audrina was written in 1982, and I think at first it was a standalone book, but then became part of the Audrina series with White Fern. There was only 2 books. And I think also V.C. Andrews was one of the first, if not the first, author to use step-back art on her books. And wow, was it successful. Look at this. They're beautiful books. My Sweet Audrina. Audrina Adair wanted so to be as good as her sister. She knew her father could not love her as he loved her sister. Her sister was so special, so perfect, and dead. Upstairs in the locked room were her sister's clothes and dolls, her animals and games, and her sacred rocking chair, which held the secret of all her sister's gifts. Now Audrina will rock and claim those gifts. Sounds psychological. People do call her gothic horror, family saga, but there's definitely some psychological horror aspects to a lot of what she does. Actually, you'd have to say most of it is psychological, right? There's some violence, but most of it is psychological. Even the things that drive those people to violence is psychological. And then we have the last book. This is 1984. This is the last book in the Dollanganger series, for all practical purposes. The Seeds of Yesterday. This is a beautiful cover. I really like it. Seeds of Yesterday came out in 1984. Chris and Kathy Sheffield, brother and sister, feel that their torments are finally over. Now in their 50s, living as husband and wife, they have watched their son Jory and his beautiful wife Melody rise to heights of fame as the world's premier ballet duo. Even Bart, their youngest, once driven to murderous vengeance for his parents' life of sin, has grown into a handsome, brilliant young man and an object of his parents' pride. It's weird. This is completely off topic, but back in the biblical era and before the biblical era, when there was talk of gods on this planet, you see that the gods used to live a very long time, and as that god gene was bred out of them, lifespan started to get shorter and shorter and shorter. I think Enoch died at they don't say he died, but I think he ascended at 365. so too is the psychological trauma being bred out of these people as their lineage grows and expands. And you think that they're on the right path and that great things are in the store, but that old power comes back to haunt us. And it does too. If you don't completely get it out of your body and in your system, it will surface again, probably at the worst time. Now, this is going to begin the Castile series, and this was a very popular movie and a very popular book. This is 1985's Heaven. Heaven, the first book in the Castile family series. Of all the folks in the mountain shacks, the Castiles were the lowest, the scum of the hills. Heaven Lee Castile was the prettiest, smartest girl in the backwoods, despite her ragged clothes and dirty face, despite a father meaner than 10 vipers, despite her weary stepmother who worked her like a mule. For her brother Tom and the little ones, Heaven clung to her pride and her hopes. Someday they'd get away and show the world that they were decent, fine, talented, worthy of love and respect. That's cool, man. So through the books, you've seen the horrific, shameful acts that took place in Flowers in the Attic, all the way to this point right here where the children of the children of the children that it happened to have finally rose to a place of prominence, and they're very proud. And maybe that pride is what causes them to, I don't know, commit the same mistakes maybe. But that's Heaven, and that was 1985. Now, this is 1986 Dark Angel. Hardback, nice copy, book club edition, but this is V.C. Andrews' Dark Angel. Yeah, 1986, book 2 of the Castile series. Oh, man. The first edition copies have the family portraits on the back of the cover, which look great. They look fantastic. But what is Dark Angel about? In this eagerly awaited sequel to Heaven, beautiful Heaven Lee Castile has at last been rescued from poverty in the hills of West Virginia by her maternal grandparents, Jillian and Tony Tatterton. At their magnificent Boston estate, she finds a new, happier life and a chance to become the educated, successful woman she always dreamed of being. But even here, she is haunted by her past. See? That damn old past, the persistence of memory and the persistence of guilt and sin. Her own grandmother seems to resent her very presence, and Tony demands that she forsake her Castile family and follow his every order or be sent back to the life of poverty and deprivation that she sprang from. You see this reoccurring theme. I think on a surface level, people see the eroticism in the incest, right? She's turned it into something sexy and a mainstream, and it's crazy. But I think one of the prevailing themes of her work is why is it that those who are supposed to love us and take care of us are always the ones that end up hurting us the most? Why? And you see that time and time again. Now, this is book 3 of the Castile series. The Castile series. This is Garden of Shadows. Garden of Shadows. And they made a movie about this one, and it was called Flowers in the Attic, The Origin Story, or something like that. But this is supposed to tell the story of the grandmother in Flowers in the Attic and why she was so evil. Okay? There is a root to it all. This is a really popular book, and some folks say it's the best. I don't know if that's true. You tell me. What do you think? Have you read any of these books? Do you like them? Which is your favorite? Which suck? We're officially in Niederman territory, too. Garden of Shadows was no doubt the one that he was called in to finish for the V.C. Andrews estate. And ever since then, he's been involved. And he's also wrote over 40 books by himself under the Niederman name. And remember, this guy's 83 years old now. So he's been doing this for a while. He is V.C. Andrews. And most of the books that we know about, I mean, Flowers in the Attic, Petals on the Wind, of course, they're so popular. And not to belittle her writing, it was wonderful, but I think Niederman was a little bit more edgy, dealt with a little bit more modern issues, that kind of thing, and went a little bit deeper than V.C. Andrews did. Some argue that point. What do you think? But Garden of Shadows is supposed to be the prequel to Flowers in the Attic, so let's see. Olivia dreamed of a sun-filled love, a happy life. Then she entered Foxworth Hall. V.C. Andrews' thrilling new novel spins a tale of dreadful secrets and dark, forbidden passions, of the time before Flowers in the Attic began, long before terror flowered in the attic, thin, spinsterish Olivia came to Virginia as Malcolm Foxworth's bride. At last, with all her tall, handsome husband, she would find the joy she had waited for, longed for, but in the gloomy mansion, filled with hidden rooms and festering desires, a stain of jealous obsession began to spread. I'm having a hard time reading those book descriptions. I've been reading so much lately, you guys, but I love it. And this book sounds damn good, and the cover's cool as hell, too. Check it out. Yeah. But man, I have been reading so much. I'm still reading Christopher Pike's See You Later. I'm reading Them by William Johnstone, and I read a shit ton of essays and research papers and poems and short stories in that final week of school that just ended. Today's literally the second day of summer, and it's early in the morning. That's why I'm kind of trying to keep it down, but I'm so happy that I teach, and I'm so happy to be alive because I have the summer and my kid is off too, and I get to read more and make more videos for you guys. So that was Garden of Shadows. Beautiful cover. Now guess what? Fallen Hearts. Fallen Hearts came out in 1988. Again, we're in Niederman territory for sure now. Fallen Hearts. Look at that. There she is. She makes a cameo appearance in the movie Flowers in the Attic when they go to the house and you see the housekeeper cleaning the windows. That's her. And there's only like one video I can find of her actually talking on YouTube, and she's sitting in a scene that they're about to film in Flowers in the Attic, the original movie, and she's sitting off to the side. And I'm sure she was used as a consultant. She probably had a lot to do with the script writing and wanted to make sure that they stayed as true to the book as they could. But you know Hollywood. Yeah. With Fallen Hearts, V.C. Andrews returns again to the #1 best-selling saga of the Castiles, continuing the story that was begun in Heaven in Dark Angel. In Fallen Hearts, Heaven returns to Winter Row and begins to live out her childhood dreams. She becomes a respected schoolteacher at the local school and marries her sweetheart, Logan Stonewall. After their wedding trip back to Farthingale Manor, Tony Tatterton persuades Heaven and Logan to stay in Boston, offering Logan a fabulous job and promising to share with Heaven. Oh boy. All the Tatterton wealth and privilege, but old ghosts began to rise up. Once more, see? Writhing around Heaven's fragile happiness, threatening her precious love with scandal and jealousy. Once again, V.C. Andrews tells an enthralling tale of sinister passions and dangerous dreams. And people like the character of Heaven. She's very likable. There you go. Now what we got here. This is the Gates of Paradise. Gates of Paradise was from 1989, credited to Niederman, Book Club Edition. Gates of Paradise. Nice, clean down book, really. I got this off of Pango Books. By the way, Laughing is Forever, my new book was released. You can get it on Pango Books. If you get it from there, leave me a comment in the I'll inscribe it to you. And, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, of course, they got it. And I'd be honored if you check it out. Okay. So this is this is the Gates of Paradise. Nothing on the back. Dang it. A lot of wasted space there. In this dazzling new bestseller, the story of the Castile family continues. When a car crash kills Heaven and Logan, their daughter, Annie is whisked off to Farthingale Manor by her grandfather, the possessive Tony Tatterton. There she pines for her lost family, but especially for Luke, her half-brother and fantasy prince. Then Annie discovers a cottage hidden deep in Farthingale's woods, and the mysteries of the past begin to unravel. These folks, they didn't learn their lesson. They didn't learn their lesson at all. They haven't. That's why we can't forget the past, y'all. We cannot forget the past, because if we do, we'll continue to make the same mistakes time and time again, and we'll never get off of this rock. Okay, so here is the last book in the Castile series. This is 1990. Web of Dreams. Web of Dreams. We started in 1979, and we're in 1990 now. We started with V.C. Andrews, and we're at Niederman, who by this point has written more books than V.C. Andrews in this series, So, Web of Dreams. With nowhere to go, No one to help her. Lee fled into the arms of Luke Castile. Lee Van Voreen had to escape from Boston's Farthingale Manor. Look, guys, if you're ever in Boston, stay clear of this place. And what's the other place? Foxworthy? What? Stay the hell away from these places, okay? The foul secret she harbored within her seemed to darken her life forever. Jillian, her mother, would not believe her, and Tony Tatterton, her stepfather, had betrayed her most cruelly. But the pure devotion of Luke Castile promised her hope and respect. Only Luke knew her deepest of secrets. Only Luke would love and protect her. Bravely she bore the suspicions of the Willies and hill folk as she tried to grasp the happiness that had so long eluded her. Leah prayed with all her heart that her bright shining dreams would save her from the tragedy at last. Will it? I don't know. You tell me. Web of Dreams, V.C. Andrews, a.k.a. Andrew Niederman. Check it out, y'all. And there's a lot of series ghosts written by folks like James Bond and whatnot. But Andrew Niederman is the most successful ghostwriter of all time with the V.C. Andrews legacy. And that is it for the Dollanganger family series. The Castillo family, the Castile, damn it. I keep wanting to say Castillo, maybe because some of my students are named Castillo. The damn Castile family series. And we're going to move in. I have one book in the Cutler family series, and this is Darkest Hour. I love it. Man, I imagine that first print looked good with that step back art. Look again. Okay. We don't judge books by their cover. But do we? Don't we? We absolutely do. And let's see. No, there's no family portrait, but a family portrait will look great here, and they're spooky, you know. Very, very creepy, spooky. Look at some of her first edition books, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So cool. All right, so this is Darkest Hour. Her books are ominously, widely addictive. Yes, what does that say about people? The phenomenal Cutler series, Dawn, Secrets of the Morning, Twilight's Child, and Midnight Whispers, has held millions of readers spellbound with its compelling tales of dark deceptions and twisted passions. That's fair enough. That's a good way to say it. As a small girl, Lillian Booth is captivated by everything life has to offer. Here is a world full of grand soirees and parties, of sunshine and promise, as thrilling as the fairy tales Mama spins for her and her sickly little sister, Eugenia. No one, not even her cold, stern papa and her Bible-spouting sister Emily, can crush her spirits until the day Emily reveals the shattering secret of Lillian's birth, a secret Mama sadly cannot deny. Still Lillian clings steadfastly to all that is bright and beautiful, never believing Emily's hateful claim that she is evil, a curse, not even when sweet, gentle Eugenia loses her fragile hold on life. God dang, that was long. But you see, again and again and again, here's a warning of a dark past and a curse yet to come, but I guarantee you she makes the same mistake that the others make, and that's what brings about a new family series and a new book, baby. So, The Darkest Hour is the last book in the Cutler series, and this is from 1993. The last book I have by V.C. Andrews is 2001's. This is the Shooting Star series, right? And this is Falling Stars. And they went back for this. This is 2001. We started in 79. We're at 2001 now. And we haven't seen the step back art for a while, but they went back to that, and rightly so. Come on, guys. You know you love it. I do too. But when you have books like this on the shelf, you have to be careful because things snag right here and they'll tear and rip that. You don't want that because then the book is really ugly. But now it's beautiful. I got this at Salvation Army for like 25 cents plus tax. So what is this about? Let's find out. All the world's a stage. But what if the play doesn't go as planned? Four talented girls from vastly different pasts share a dream of stardom. Cinnamon, the edgy actress, Ice, the phenomenal vocalist, Rose, the beautiful dancer, and Honey, the first-rate violinist. It sounds like a bunch of girls that work together at a strip club down the street called Spearmint Rhino, to tell you the truth. The four meet at the prestigious Sinetsky School of the Performing Arts, housed in an ornate New York City mansion, and become instant friends as they take off on a dazzling whirlwind of intense classes, theater outings, and celebrity-studded parties. Oh, it sounds like they got the great life, right? Oh, but they soon realize this is no ordinary school. Madame Sadinsky pushes the girls' studies beyond reason. She controls their social lives, and they get the strange feeling someone is watching them. But who and why? That's the question of the day. Do you know the answer? Have you read this book? If you do, don't tell me. Do not put it in the comments. Say something else. Guys, that's it. That's all I got to show you. That is my V.C. Andrews book collection, aka book haul, because I haven't read Flowers in the Attic in a long time, right? But I do want to read it again. But it was the only one I read, and it was good enough to make me want to try out the rest of the series. And with Cameron Chaney's kind words about the books, the author, and the series, I said, why not delve into it and read them all? So I didn't get many more because I wanted to sample V.C. Andrews, so I got everything she wrote, and I wanted to read some of the more popular Niederman books to see how that transition was made from V.C. Andrews to Niederman. And I'm going to find out. And as I read them, I'm going to do reviews. I'm also going to do a review on See You Later by Christopher Pike. I'm going to do a review on them. And then I need your help. I have a problem buying books. I don't want to buy any more books. I want to read what I have, and then we'll see. Because I'm running out of space here, and I live in not that it's a tiny apartment, but I need space for other things. I have a 9-year-old child and a wife, and my mother lives with me. I take care of her, so I need this space. And plus, the more I buy, the less I'm reading, because I'm spending my time thinking about what book I'm going to buy next. So I'm going to show you guys my personal little library down here and all the books I have. And then I'm not going to buy another one for a long time. I'm just going to read and do reviews on series and maybe movie tie-ins and things like that. And when I make space for a lot more books, then I'll buy them. That's it, guys. I'm shutting up. You're amazing. Thank you so much for the support. Let me know what you're doing, and I'll support you too. I promise I'll pay it forward. But guys, stay cool, enjoy life, and keep reading.